So let's say if we want to change here in Montreal, yes, we can ask for a sit down or a commission or a review, but if a group solved this in Montreal, and the situation happens in Trois-Rivières, let's say, or Laval, it won't apply. The solution.
No, for instance,
you see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. The recent policy that the SPVM developed and presented to the community here in Montreal, you know, with respect to street checks, or we call interpellation here in Montreal. Well, that's a policy. First of all, it's not a law, it's not a regulation in any way. It's just a policy, and it only applies, and it would only apply to police officers within the SPVM here in Montreal. So you cross over to Laval, and
it's done.
It's
all different ballgame.
It's all different ballgame. There's no holds barred.
So. So hello everybody, this is once again Luigi on the go in my mobile office, and the last time I did a little interview in my car with a friend of mine. His name is Spook. Alberto. He was an artist and became a fireman here in Montreal. We talk about different situation and activity that we collaborate to doing together. It was called Driving While Black in Montreal, and it was very, very wonderful. It was a parade downtown Montreal to express different profile cases or situation black drivers would have here in Montreal. So it was very, very wonderful. You'll see another footage on that on my YouTube account. And today I did one in French, and now I'm doing one in English with a friend of mine, ALAIN BABINEAU. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful. It's been a while I didn't come to downtown Montreal.
Well, yeah, that's a challenge. Downtown driving is always a challenge.
It's incredible. It's such a challenge. And another thing too, I don't want to get tickets here. And the reason I'm talking about tickets, because you are a former RCMP officer,
yeah,
right?
That's right. That's right. 28 and a half years with the RCMP.
Wow.
And I retired. I joined the RCMP. I was 4 years old.
4 years old?
Yeah, 4 years old.
Wow.
And I've been retired since 2016.
Okay.
And I was in Ottawa when I retired, and I moved to Montreal. Well, I had spent some time in Montreal in the early 2000s with the RCMP. But after retirement, I enrolled in law school. So I went to law school here at McGill. After, you know, when I retired, because I didn't want to stay home and you know, watch TV and all that, and so I just decided that I was going to do something positive and trying to get my brains going. So I went to law school and graduated from McGill last October. And I've been involved with the here in Montreal with the Center for Research Action on Race Relations, better known as CRARR.
CRARR. That's how we met.
That's right. That's how we met.
Yeah.
And it's a human rights, civil rights, social justice organization, and we assist people with you know, a variety of discrimination issues that they have. And my particular portfolio with CRARR is centers around racial profiling and driving while black and walking while black and playing music while black and doing all kind of things while black, you know.
Exactly.
And yeah, that's what I do.
So this, I mean, you must be really, really busy. I mean, do you have a lot of cases here in Montreal, around Montreal, or what's your main focus? What's the base clientele that you have?
Well,
what type of clientele also? Right.
Well, I mean, like I said, my sort of portfolio is racial profiling by public safety agency. That means the police, police, and also private security guards and whatnot, border agencies and whatnot, everything to do with public security. And so yeah, we're busy. You know, not everyone that gets racially profiled will necessarily come forward and file a complaint, right? Because it's very, very intrusive and very traumatizing. Yes. Traumatizing. So, yeah, but we do have a lot of cases, and we assist people in filing complaints with the various, whether it be with the you know, tribunals or the Police Ethics Commission. When it comes to police, what I call misbehavior.
So you're a former cop, sometimes facing cops' misbehavior. Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of good because you know both sides of the coin, you know, if we look at it like that.
Right. Well, yeah. So I mean, I know the policing culture. I know. I mean, I believe in policing because I think policing is a noble profession.
Right.
But it's like any other profession. If it's not done right, then people are stepping outside of their boundaries and outside of their code of ethics, conduct, and they have to be brought back into in order.
Yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the day, police officers are there to serve the community and not the other way around.
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
You know, I got into some altercation, had tickets or questioning, you know, throughout my life. I mean, anybody, you know, that's a regular citizen, I mean, wherever you live. I lived in Montreal North, but I seen probably a little bit more than the average people, you know, in the 90s. But sometimes I noticed something, that citizens don't always know their rights. And that can create like a snowball effect of a situation that could have been so much way simpler. What do you think about that?
Well, of course, I mean, people are not expected to be lawyers, right?
Right.
So obviously, I don't think you can turn right.
I think I can.
Oh yeah. Sorry, my bad. So people are not. I mean, don't know. Of course, it's best if they are aware of their rights and obligations. Also, we have obligations as citizens, right? I mean, under traffic regulations, for instance, if you get pulled over and a police officer comes to you and says, "Oh, I pulled you over for whatever reason," you have an obligation to provide your identification, your driver's license and registration and proof of insurance. I mean, that's part of the code. You have an obligation.
But if he doesn't tell you why he's arresting you, he's asking you where you're going and what's your shoe size, that has nothing to do with his job, right?
That's right, exactly. But at the same time, if you get pulled over, the way the law is written right now is that you have an obligation to identify yourself as a driver. So you have a responsibility to have your driver's license on you at all times, registration and proof of insurance.
All right.
I mean, everybody is human. You know, we're all human beings. So every now and then you might forget your driver's license. Right. But you know that you'll have to explain that.
Exactly.
But according to the law, if you don't have your driver's license with you, you're liable to get a ticket.
You get a ticket, okay. But he must stop you for a reasonable doubt of something that you have done. That's always technical,
that's where it's
right?
a little bit kind of tricky because the law, there's a law as it is written, and there's a law as it is interpreted. So in other words, the Quebec Highway Traffic Act, the Code Sécurité Routière du Québec, just the same as Ontario has its own security highway traffic act, and Nova Scotia and everywhere has their own. Each province has their own, right? Because it's provincial jurisdiction. So essentially, there's a section in the code that says that police officers can stop you pretty much for anything, as long as the purpose for which you're being stopped is to enforce the Highway Traffic Act. For instance, if the police officer suspects that if you have burnt headlights, for instance, it's not working, so they have the authority under the code to pull you over to and they could give you a ticket. You're supposed to have all your lights supposed to be working. The problem that we're having, and it's not just in Montreal or Quebec, but it's all over Canada, is that police officers are, because of the context of racial profiling, which basically is the idea that black people are more prone to being involved in criminality, right? Okay, yeah. And therefore, they ought to be subject to more scrutiny by the police. That's the general concept of notion of racial profiling. Yeah. So there's this idea, the stereotype that black people are more involved in criminality. So if you have that in mind, and if you're patrolling the highway and you see, black person driving, and oftentimes it'll be an expensive vehicle, but not always.
You can keep on going. I'm trying to.
Not always an expensive vehicle.
Yeah.
It could be just a vehicle, and the police officer, often what we've seen happening is they'll use this pretext, or they'll use this law as a pretext to pull you over, to check you out.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where racial profiling, comes.
Incident.
Yeah, comes into play. Right, so that's what we're finding, and of course the courts have spoken against it, but it's still being done because, in my opinion, anyhow, the law is very sort of loosey-goosey around that.
Right. You know what I say sometimes? Another aspect I look when you have an officer stopping you is that there's the officer and the person in the uniform of an officer. Sometimes it could be perceived as personal, or they have their own stereotype and they're not following the guides, and you can see they jump into something a little bit personal.
Police officers are human beings, part of the society, and if we believe that this society is in and of itself racist and has a lot of prejudice in all spheres of society, then police officers are not immune from that, right? So they will join so that's where code of conduct, and that's where accountability, and that's where complaints come in.
Yeah. So talking about complaints, I know you are part of many complaints, or one complaint in let's say the suburb of Montreal, for the people that doesn't know Montreal that much, like in the East End and the suburb of Montreal, a town called Repentigny. I guess you're involved in something going on with them?
Well, Repentigny is one of many municipalities that we have clients in. I mean, we have lots of clients that have complained against the Montreal, the SPVM here. We have some that have against the police in Repentigny, Longueuil, LaSalle, Laval, everywhere. So yes, I'm not going to discuss specific cases, but suffice to say that it's not unique. It's not unique to Montreal. It's pretty much province-wide and beyond, because we've also assisted the organization in Ottawa and elsewhere. So I mean, like I said, most of the clientele, most of the people are here in Quebec, but we don't limit ourselves to assisting folks in Quebec.
Working as an officer, did you encounter different scenarios or discrimination or comments that surprised you?
Personally? Against me?
Either you or if you have noticed?
Oh, of course. Against me.
You did?
Yeah, of course.
Racism
and discrimination is it's part of policing. It's part of policing as an institution. It's systemic. Racism exists in policing just like it exists in the teaching profession, or in the legal profession, for instance. Of course.
And how did it get solved? Did a complaint?
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Falls between two chairs.
It's very difficult. Sometimes it's being brushed aside, particularly in policing where there's still, black officers, for instance, are underrepresented. So obviously, it's more difficult to raise issues of racism. Oftentimes, you won't be taken seriously. I mean, more so now, of course, in the current context. But historically, you're alone essentially when you bring those kind of issues forward. But that's not again, it's not unique to policing. But I've had my share, and I've helped. When I was in the organization, and I still do. As a matter of fact, I still do help
people inside.
In police,
RCMP
and other agencies. Montreal, I've helped some folks here in Montreal, and Ottawa, and so with either coming forward with complaints or trying to navigate difficult environment in which they find themselves. So it's not easy. But I mean, we're living in some unique time right now where this kind of stuff is better recognized and acknowledged. And so there's an opportunity here, and we have to seize it.
So I mean, can you share a scenario or a case? Well, no names. I mean, without saying no names, what kind of of complaint, or is it words? Is it physical? Is it
nowadays? I mean, obviously, you know, explicit racism.
The most popular one.
Name calling, you won't find that, but it's more pernicious. It's more subtle, and it's also, you know, in terms of promotions for promotional opportunities, selection for particular assignments and whatnot, where, you know, where things are done. You know, if I know you, I like you, whatever. There's a club. Good old boys club type thing that exists within policing. So it's a very white male dominated field, still is. And so that's what officers are facing. And so it's but again, it's not unique to policing, right? It happens in other professions as well. But it exists. But the idea of you know, racial profiling and stereotypes in terms of how police officers perceive black people, for instance. I mean, that's, again, you know, part of you know, the stereotypes that are part of society, that you know, black people are more prone to criminalities. They're more, you know, it's a variety of things. I mean, you can name it, you know what I'm talking about. And so when police officers are out there enforcing the law, oftentimes those stereotypes take over, and then they react based on those stereotypes, and then deal with people, you know, prejudging people, right, based on those, what they believe to be facts.
So I'm trying to understand something, and maybe you can help me clarify. We talked about it a little bit, but maybe we can share with the audience here. When it comes to rules and regulation of an agency, like you say, municipal, provincial, and federal, they all obliged to the same laws, or is it different law when it comes to different territories? I mean,
well, in Canada,
people that applies for a complaint.
Let's say the administration of policing is provincial. So in other words, if you're going to file a complaint, for instance, against the Montreal Police, SPVM here, it'll be through the provincial mechanism,
right?
Complaint mechanism, right? So if you're in Ontario, they have their own mechanism. Each province has its own mechanism. If you have a complaint against the RCMP, which is a federal entity, right? Then it has its own complaint as well. It's called the External Review Committee, Complaint Committee against the RCMP, which reviews those type of complaints. You know, so each province has its own complaint. If it's federally, the RCMP has its own. The military has its own review of a complaint process when it comes to MPs, right? Military police. They have their own. There's their own mechanism as well. So it kind of varies, but I mean, some in my opinion are better than others. They're not perfect by any stretch of imagination. Some of them are not very good at all. But it's there. It's one of the tools that you have to
so let's say if we want to change here in Montreal, yes, we can ask for a sit down or a commission or a review, but if a group solved this in Montreal and the situation happens in Trois-Rivières, let's say, or Laval, it won't apply. The solution.
No, for instance,
you see what I'm saying, right?
The recent policy that the SPVM developed and presented to the community here in Montreal, you know, with respect to street checks, or what we call interpellation here in Montreal. Well, that's a policy. First of all, it's not a law, it's not a regulation in any way. It's just a policy, and it only applies, and it would only apply to police officers within the SPVM here in Montreal. So you cross over to Laval, and
it's done.
It's
all different ballgame.
It's all different ballgame. No holds barred.
So that means if we want all of this to be uniform for the province, provincial, it needs to be taken higher.
Well, what you need to have is a change in the Police Act.
And the Police Act.
Which is a provincial statute which sort of regulates police behavior and practices right across the province. And within the Police Act, you have the Code of Conduct.
The Code of Conduct.
Which is basically has to deal with wrongdoings and what I call misconduct or misbehavior by individual police officers. And so if you want a standardized way of dealing with, which is in effect in place right now through the code of conduct, but it's not, but racial profiling is not, in my opinion, it could be, you know, it could be more rigorous the way it's being handled by the Police Act. It should be more rigorous.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because we can't solve things, a macro thing with micro actions.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
But it starts, I mean,
it starts somewhere too.
It starts somewhere. There's nothing wrong. I think, in my opinion, the policy that Montreal presented recently has many flaws, and it's not, you know, it's not going to change a whole lot. In my opinion, matter of fact, I don't think it's going to change anything at all. But it's something there, and on which we can build more accountability. But at the same time, we need to keep putting pressure to have changes, significant changes within the Police Act, province-wide.
Province-wide, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. But you know what? I mean, like you say, step by step, you know, people need to be educated also and understand, you know, the machine that we're in, you know. Education is a key for a citizen, I guess, too. Education
is key for the citizen, but I said something yesterday to a police manager where I said, you know what, I've come to believe that if there's the police officers that need to be educated.
Oh yeah,
and because the reason for that is because police officers, we are paid professionals. The community ain't paid to do nothing.
That's true.
Police officers were paid to be professional, you know, master of our own craft.
Right.
And so because of that, we have to be held at a much higher standard than the rest of the community. Yes, education, know your rights, and all that kind of stuff is nice for people to have under their belt.
Right.
No issue. I'm a believer in lifelong learning.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have to realize that police officers are paid professionals, and they have to be held to account at a much higher standard, and the emphasis should be on their education in terms of how to deal with the diverse communities that they have to deal with on a daily basis.
So, you know what, you're saying that, and I had a flash, because I do conferences, and I did one for the employees of a federal prison.
Okay.
The whole staff, I mean, the teachers and the administration and so on. And I kind of clarified them, what is a Canadian? What is a Canadian in 2020? I mean, it's not the same thing when it was in 1910, you know? And then they realized that, you know, the approach, you know, asking where you from. Like, if I tell you I'm born... Oh, snap, crap, it was only the BMW. I think he needs to go to the garage. He needs to take care of that muffler.
Not a drive-by. Not a drive-by.
I thought it was a drive-by, because when...
Burgundy.
We're in Little Burgundy, and I'm trying to look for the Oscar Peterson wall there. I'm going to ask somebody after I finish sharing that with you. So what I was saying is that when I did the conference with them and presented them me as a Canadian and as a Montrealer, they were like, yeah, it's true. I said, yes, you have a lot of prisoners, inmate that are Canadian, but the way you approach them is like he's like an alien, so he's offended by that. So we need to make you see that, you know, sometimes
100%, because this whole issue of racial profiling, it's a societal problem. It's not a police problem uniquely, but it's a societal problem. And until everybody is treated and considered as a Canadian, as the Prime Minister would say, Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, but this particular province has an issue, you know, with that kind of concept.
Yes.
We got to get around that, because otherwise we'll be ghettoized forever.
It's so hard. I lived in Ottawa, it's not the same vibe. I live in Calgary. I've been to Edmonton. I've been to Banff. I've been a little bit everywhere across Canada.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. And I talked to Nova Scotian, people, black people for the last 300 years that have been in Nova Scotia, Halifax, and they tell me sometimes they do have that situation. It was a fight to tell them I'm not a black Canadian. I'm a Canadian. Period. And here I think it's a little bit harder. I don't know. Quebec is a little bit special sometimes.
100%. Sometimes I call Quebec. I'm gonna say this. People are not gonna like it, but sometimes I call Quebec the South, north of the border.
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you,
the whole Yeehaw Club.
Yeah, exactly. Because I grew up, you know, in the region as they call it.
Right.
And as a black man, and back in the 70s and 80s, where you didn't see nobody.
Right.
And then moved away, joined the military, and lived in Nova Scotia and lived in Ontario for the rest of my adult life. Right. I guess most of my adult life, as a matter of fact. And then came back to Montreal and reacquainted myself with the Quebec society all over again. And man, I'm having a hard time. I'm not having a hard time adjusting, but I realize how different, and we're in many instances we're behind many years. So.
Compared to the rest of Canada.
Yeah, rest of Canada. I mean, and I'm not suggesting it's more racist. It's just a different game.
Yeah,
it's just a different perception of things, and but yeah.
You know, when I left to go to Calgary, I wrote it on my Facebook and all my social network. I said, bye-bye, Planet Quebec. Because to me, sometimes it is a planet. I mean, I'm trying to do my best, get creative. I got my little business, doing my interview. I did radio. I got involved in the community, doing my conferences. But sometimes it's just not you hit a wall. It's just the key doesn't fit. How come? I think I have the right key to get in, whatever project or, space, or network. But sometimes I'm like, man. I thought I had the right key.
Exactly, and we. But I also found that sometimes our black communities here are not helping themselves.
No.
What I'm saying by this is that sometimes we're ghettoizing ourselves. With the Haitian community, the Jamaican community, the Barbadian, and I got to
English, French.
Yeah, and I got to tell you something. When I'm as a cop. If I'm going to be racially profiling you, I'm not going to racially profile you because you're Haitian, or because you're from Burgundy, or because you're from NDG, or because you're LaSalle. It's because you're black.
You're black.
I don't give a rat's ass.
You're saying it.
I don't care whether you're Haitian or nothing.
This is going down for X, Y, Z.
My mindset is that you're black, you're potentially a criminal, I won't be asking, is that guy Haitian, or is that guy Bayesian, or is that guy from the Congo, or is he from Chicoutimi? I don't give a rat's ass. I'm going to go and I'm going to profile you. So people have to realize that. And sort of come, but I'm seeing a change in that kind of attitude right now, which is a good thing. But let's not forget that you're a potential victim. It don't matter if you're from Saint Michel or Burgundy or West Island, or it don't matter, or LaSalle.
I can't wait, to unify. A lot of people start, provoke that or invite people to think like that, because it's just. Subcultures, subdivision,
and not helping.
And then nobody else is looking at us like that. I mean, Italian cops or employers, whatever.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because you got folks that are even, I like to I laugh sometimes. You got folks because they think they have the education. They're from I was talking to a lawyer. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a lawyer. He was an African guy from Senegal, I think, but he was doing his bar. You have to requalify to be a lawyer here, and he was giving us a story that in his country he's a king.
Yeah.
He do whatever he wants. He gets pulled over.
Top of the hill.
Oh, he's at the top of the hill. And he says, "Oh yeah, I got pulled over by the police. I think I'm a lawyer, and they did nothing." I said, "Brother, you better not try that here."
That doesn't work. It doesn't fly.
They look at you. They look at you like any different. They look at me and you and everybody else.
So you gotta go.
It doesn't matter if you're a lawyer or black lawyer or nothing. You're just gonna get racially profiled. So some folks have to understand that your education means nothing if you're gonna be pegged as a potential criminal, and that's what racial profiling is.
You know, I really enjoyed the little exchange there, and we're talking about Black Canadian and Little Burgundy. We're here right now, and I'm going to ask, I thought I knew because I was going in circles, but I'm going to ask somebody here and show the people a wonderful wall. Sorry guys, you know where the Oscar Peterson wall is? You know that big graffiti?
Oh yeah, it's on the wall.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. How you doing, sir? Yeah, you know where the Oscar Peterson, you know the big wall graffiti they did?
The painting.
The painting, yeah.
Who is here? Oscar Peterson or who is this one?
Yeah, that's Oscar Peterson.
That's Oscar Peterson. Who's the other guy down there?
I just need the Oscar Peterson one. At this corner?
Right there on the wall there. Look there.
Oh, okay. I just turn left?
Yeah. Just go by the left. Turn the left.
Yeah, turn to the left. All right.
You see right in front of you.
All right, respect. Oliver Jones, yeah.
Oliver Jones is on George Vanier. And Oscar Peterson is looking right there on the wall.
Okay, and George Vanier a little bit down?
Yeah, just cross over the light, you see him right there.
All right, I see him right there. All right, bless.
Yeah.
Thank you. There we go. So we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go to the Oscar Peterson painting incredible. So here we are. I had to stop here and show the people this wall. Legendary person here. Look at me, look at him. Oscar Peterson right here that grew up in Little Burgundy. And right here at the corner of Saint-Jacques. And I can't remember the name, but Saint-Jacques, just type it, you'll see it on the internet. And I had to come since I was with another Canadian just like me. We're both Canadian, right? And that's it. So we had to stop here. What do you know a little bit about Oscar Peterson?
Oh yeah, there's a nice statue up in Ottawa.
Oh, okay.
On right on Rideau, right across from the Parliament Building, really.
Okay.
Near the Hilton Hotel in Ottawa. It's beautiful, beautiful. I mean, live, you know, like size picture in a statue.
Right.
With his piano and it's beautiful.
Nice.
And, yeah,
that's something right there.
That's an icon, man. That's an icon, Canadian icon.
Canadian icon. So I had to stop, you know, while driving with one of my guests. Thank you for the interview. Thank you for the conversation.
Thank you. It was great having coffee with you.
Oh, I forgot to buy the coffee. So give us the info if somebody has a situation or they have some type of stuff going on.
Look us up, CRARR, the Center for Research Action on Race Relations. CRARR. When you look us up in CRARR, there's either CRARR service at gmail.com, CRARR service at gmail.com, but also you can look us up on Facebook or online, www.CRARR service.
And there's a website, I think.
That's
also
right, there is a website.
CRARR.org. I'll put all the information in the description below of this YouTube video. So that's about it. Any last word you have to?
Man, you got to come forward. And the only way we're going to get this this racial profiling, I mean, it's been recognized by the courts and now more and more, but the time is now. Folks have to come forward. We've got to keep asserting our rights and making sure that we get the policing service that we deserve, which is fair and equitable for everyone.
Good. Here you go. Here you have it from Alain BABINEAU from the CRARR, former RCMP agent, trying to work for the community and have a better world here in Canada, Montreal, Canada.
Thank you.
All right. Peace. Stay focused. God bless. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and see you on the next one. Peace.